What is up, guys? We are back. This is The Real Deal with Casey and Jason, where we talk real life, real experiences, and occasionally real estate. What's up, fellas?
What up? Guys, we got Charlie Copeland in the building.
Yes, we do. Charlie is, like we talked about, we shout out Charlie quite a bit.
A lot.
On The Real Deal.
Yeah.
And you would know that if you listened to
I was going to say, you might not know that.
I know. I've heard at least once.
So funny story too. Charlie just now is like, you guys just need to get like a legit intro on the videos. Jason's like, bro, have you watched the videos? Nick has got a sick intro that he just did, and it is sick. I will say that.
Yes.
And he just saw it. He's like, oh, that's perfect, dude. That's badass.
Yeah.
We got like explosions and flames. And it's like straight up Kenny Powers. Like, I just see Kenny Powers bursting through there like full on mullet.
It's very cool.
But so we got Charlie in the building. So good buddy of ours. Charlie, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Oh, great. Yeah. I'm Charlie Copeland. I own Bayheads Brewing Company in Chesapeake City. Soon to be open here soon. So,
Open again.
yes. Grand reopening.
Yeah. So actually, right next, Charlie, you own the business right next door. We are in South Village, the famous building with the blue roof. That's what I always tell everybody. I'm like, it's a little retail strip center with the blue roof. Well, Charlie had Bayheads next door to where we are now. And you are going to be this is Chesapeake City, but you're going to be downtown Chesapeake City.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to capitalize on all the walk-in traffic here very soon. That I'm excited about.
And not a little project. You took a historic building in town, and it's going to be freaking amazing.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It was built 1850, the building, so it's pretty old.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it has been a serious project trying to restore that. I know, there's been buildings in town where people have had the opportunity to basically knock it down and rebuild it. Man, I think about if that was an option for me, how that probably would have been the better way to go, because trying to restore this thing right now has been crazy. But
it'll be worth it.
Yeah, the floor in there was like this when you would walk through. So we're good now, though. I'm in a really good spot now.
And so next door, when you were over here, you guys opened, was it 17 or 18? I always forget.
So the grand opening there was March 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay. And we
had soft launches prior to that.
Just served beer, but it's going to be different over here, downtown. Is that right?
So I have a full liquor license downtown. So that's definitely a big awesome. Change. And kind of a little bit of a learning curve, because I've never owned a full bar before. So beer has been the business up to this point, but and then the goal is, like, starting out, I had to kind of change my permit because there's a lot going on with that process. So I was going to have a kitchen when I first opened, but that's kind of going to be phase 2 now. I'm going to get the brewery up, get my occupancy, get the brewery opened, and then start serving drinks, and then put in another permit to get the kitchen going, because the health department's very backed up right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Got it. So a little bit of backstory. We all kind of work here in this little strip center. We did before the brewery moved, but I thought it was so cool. So microbreweries are still a big thing, but I think maybe even more so in 2018. Like, these things were popping up everywhere, and it was like, I don't know. I was kind of looking around like, who do I know that's going to open one of these? So I thought it was awesome when you opened Bayheads.
Yeah, bro.
And it was also right next door to my office. And, my joke was always like, people were like, oh, you're next to that brewery. And I'm like, yeah, I got a tap that comes through my wall and into my office.
It would have been legit.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. But it was a great spot for me to like meet clients or meet realtors. I would just walk next door. We'd sit at the bar and get a beer. What prompted you to start that? Like, take us back a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of breweries right now that would probably say the same thing, but I looked into like distilling first and doing spirits, and the cost and regulation around all that was just way too much. So then kind of like shifted gears a little bit and looked into brewing. And we sat down with the mayor at the time, it was Dean Gerasmus, and kind of like hey, this is what we're thinking. And he was like, well, I got a spot in the South Village that would be a great fit for you guys to at least start out. So that kind of just like took off from there. I was like, okay, this is our hometown, so it's a pretty cool opportunity, and there wasn't one already. And honestly, at the time, Cecil County only had one brewery in Rising Sun or Conowingo. It was like a farm
Fire Tower, right?
Yeah, and it was a farm brewery. So it was like a huge opportunity to do this. And then, now since then, there's been a bunch that have popped up, but nothing in Chesapeake City. We're still the only one in Chesapeake City.
So like this process, I think about what you did and I'm like, okay, so step one, like how do we brew beer? Number one. But then like you got to figure out, like you're learning the business as you go. And like, how do you, like just take us through that process and the evolution of, all right, we have to figure out how to brew beer. We have to figure out all the equipment we're going to need, the science behind it. But then like, all right, we got to find a location, build it out, sell the beer, distribute the beer. So like you guys have went a long way because now you're being, like all the local restaurants carry it. Right. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is definitely, there's home brewing, and a lot of people think like you can just go from home brewing to commercial brewing. And I think there's a lot of mistakes there with like scaling that people don't anticipate. So like that was a huge learning curve to say, okay, we have commercial equipment now and we're brewing at a much larger batch size, because 6 barrels, which we have a 6-barrel system, that puts us at like 186 gallons. So of like finished product, whereas home brewing, you're working with 5 gallons. So like it's a huge, well, some people I guess could have like 10 or 15 gallon systems, but it's a huge step up. And hop utilization, like different stuff like that, is like a serious learning curve. You might have this great IPA at 5 gallons, and they have software and stuff that helps you with it, but every brew system is different. So you got to learn the brew system and like start to understand what your efficiency is with that system and make tweaks and stuff like that. And like that's just kind of the gist of like the science behind it. Then you have like yeast management and all that stuff that getting into all that is like a whole other thing as well. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of, there was definitely a huge learning curve of getting into commercial brewing.
And I want to shout out Charlie, because he's you're extremely dedicated to this. Like as far as the brewing goes, like I can just attest to the fact that not only scaling from like a 5 gallon to wherever, you just said 186 gallon, like that's just part of it. Like commercially, you got to worry about cleaning tanks. You got to worry about, making sure that, like you said, you've got the right grain build at that scale, the hop utilization, the whole thing. And over the course of the brewery kind of evolving from where it was to where it will be, I mean, as far as like being dialed in and just like really paying attention and like perfecting his craft, like you're into that stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has been like, yeah, I mean,
it's I feel like there's always, like, no matter who you talk to, they're always gonna like, there's always something else you could be doing, or somebody else is doing something different and bigger and better, and it's just like you always seem to be focused on like really improving the product all the time. That's important.
Yeah, I mean, quality is, and I mean, you made a comment about cleaning, and like cleaning is like 90% of what you're doing in a brewery, and anybody that says different doesn't know what they're talking about. Dude. Like cleaning is just like, and being very, I mean, dilutions, everything, just making sure that you're doing everything properly. You have to have properly cleaned and sanitized equipment, or you'll have ruined batches of beer, and nobody wants that.
Yeah, and at least at that level, or like where you guys were, like you're not just like setting something and forgetting something. Like you are in there actively like making sure like what is being cleaned is supposed to be being cleaned. Like you said, you're making sure you've got the proper dilution of acid and caustic and all that stuff that I've long since forgotten. But it's not just cleaning an office. You know what I mean? And I don't want to downplay that, but you know what I mean? Cleaning a brewery tank that somebody's going to be drinking finished product of beer out of is like super important.
Yeah.
And super involved.
I bet.
Yeah. I know, like people drink sour beers now, but that's not like, the term sour makes it like you can have sour beer that happened not on purpose.
Yeah, unintentionally.
Yeah, and that's not the good stuff, like that's not the stuff that people enjoy drinking when they say sour beers. So it's a tedious, hard process to stay on top of, and if you're not on top of it, things can get out of control very, very quickly. And you could start losing batches, which isn't good.
Yeah. Well, I think I for one, am super excited about you guys getting open. I know a lot of other people are too, because it's going to be an awesome option downtown for, I think summer, how packed Chesapeake City gets. And, you're waiting for a table at Prime 225 or at Chesapeake Inn. They can walk up there, sit at the bar, get a drink, you know what I mean? Walk around town a little bit. So,
and that's, you guys know, a lot of times when people travel somewhere, one of the first, at least nowadays, one of the first things people are looking for is there a brewery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Maryland, Delaware, Eastern Shore.
Yeah. So the fact that there's going to be one within walking distance to all those other places too, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people, not to say anything negative to people in town, but I don't think they understand how much of a draw for tourism that really is. Mm-hmm. Even up here, a large portion of our business was people traveling just to come to us, and people that said they were looking at towns to visit and made their decision based on the fact that this town had a brewery. So, yeah, we had people that were traveling on 95, and this was a common thing. It wasn't just a one-off situation.
Almost every week.
Yeah, somebody is traveling on 95 and Googling on maps breweries near my travel route, and they would try the new breweries that would pop up, and I'm 95 is 20-minute ride from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So somebody's getting off on their ride back from Virginia up to New York and coming to visit the brewery. So that happened a lot.
Yeah, and that's really good, obviously, for your business, but for the town in general, like you said.
Yeah.
For them to discover the brewery and then, oh, wow, look at this amazing town that is also here.
Yeah.
Because you all know how I feel about Chesapeake City. I think it's the greatest town in America. I'm not shy.
I would agree with that.
I'm not shy about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I love the brewery feel. I don't know what it is, but I literally remember the first IPA I ever had. So in college, it's you're drinking Natty Light, Bud Light. And I remember going to a brewery in Danville, Pennsylvania. I have no idea if it's still there, but Danville's a little speck on the map up in the middle of PA. And Danielle and I went to lunch there. This is when I was in college, so I was 21. And we went to this brewery. I'm I'll take an IPA. And that sounds cool. This is before they were a thing. And I just remember the vibe in there, and I literally remember this beer and the food and how it went with it. So there's something just really cool about that. That's really awesome. That's here in Chesapeake City.
Like you said, there's a culture around that stuff. People actively seek it out, and now that there's other breweries in the county too, you have a little kind of somebody who's coming here can make a day of hitting breweries.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool too. The whole atmosphere of being somewhere where something's made. You know what I mean? People love farm to table. You know what I mean? Those type of feels, and the same thing goes with a brewery. This is, right here. This was made, and it's pretty.
And in the new spot, the tanks are going to be what I would call exposed. Mm-hmm. So people who are sitting in the tap room will have an open, unimpeded view to Charlie in the brew room if he's doing something. I think that's cool because that's exactly what you just said. They're watching the product being made essentially.
Yeah, in the old location we had that cutout, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
It was totally closed off, and you could be back there and no one would even know you were there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, every now and then we'd go back there just to kind of dip out. You know what I mean? And it was
absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess another thing that I think is fascinating about the brewery is the names that you guys have for some of your beers. So let's go down the list a little bit if you could rattle some off.
Yeah.
Because I think people from Chesapeake City or from Maryland would appreciate a lot of the names, and then maybe some of the little stories behind that.
Yeah. So our flagship IPA is called Canal Town IPA.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude,
obviously it's named after the town of Chesapeake City, and I think was that your thinking? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was a Jason idea there. It was an awesome name.
I don't like taking credit for many things, but I feel I love that name so much. I'm so glad that you guys were yes, because I think it just embodies the town so well.
Yeah.
And you've made it such a great beer that like they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and the cool thing now is like we did artwork for it and we used the building in town now with the bridge in the background. So like,
So sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
it's a really cool. It's just kind of like a classic, but like, you know, our illustrator Pat Higgins. He's
Shout
like
out Pat.
extremely skilled, awesome dude. And he does things kind of like he's really good with characters and like cartoon style. You know, I don't really want to put like a specific style to it, but like because I really don't know the proper term to say. You know what I mean? But it's like it's cool because it's like artsy, the building, and it's you know, and with everything. And we try to incorporate the bridge a lot of times in our artwork.
Branding, man, branding's everything.
Yeah. So we had Canaltown IPA. We have Phantom of the Bay IPA, which is a black IPA.
Was that Bill?
It might
Shout
have
out
been,
Bill.
Yeah.
We can't talk about Bayheads without talking about Bill.
Yeah.
Shout out Bill.
It might have been him. Yeah. And so that's all like the idea behind like Chessie, the Bay sea monster, like our Loch Ness or whatever. So that one's cool. And people love that beer. And I think Pat Higgins was featured on illustrator.com with that artwork. And like there was like their website had like the Sports Illustrated magazine cover like below his like
he's in good company.
Yeah. So like it was like a pretty cool thing. So people love that one too. We have Screamin' Polly Pumpkin Ale, which is named after the
legend of Screamin' Polly.
Yeah, the legend of Screamin'
I
Polly.
literally got chills when you said that. As soon as I hear like Screaming Polly, I think of the road, right?
Yeah.
That where it's like famous right down by us in
Stammer's
Earlville.
Run. Yeah, Stammer's Run.
And it's perfect for a fall beer too, because it's like that's your pumpkin ale, that's your Halloween, and then it just makes me think of all these times as soon as I got my driver's license, driving down there.
Yep. So then I'm trying to think. So we have St. Augie's, which is a Pilsner, and that's named after Augustine Herman, who's a pretty famous, like he charted maps and everything around here. And actually where the Chateau Boudet winery is, that was his like homestead, and he like lived the remaining days of his life there. And I think he's buried either there or like somewhere right around here too. So that's a couple that were named like...
It was kind of like the core four, if you will.
Yeah, we did like River Rat IPA, which is like a hazy IPA. It's like what people call themselves around here, River Rats.
Yeah.
And C and Double was a double IPA.
C kind of a play. C&D, like C&D Canal.
Yeah, it's like a play kind of on words and stuff. But yeah, I mean, all this has like illustrations and stuff. It all like really cool.
It all ties back into like Chesapeake City and Earlville and just kind of like the greater Chesapeake Bay area, which is friggin' sweet. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. It's so neat to have like, all these little nuances that somebody might not know, but then when you see the artwork that goes with it, which is absolutely top notch. And if you look at the name and you're from around here, or if you start asking, Charlie, when you're sitting at the bar and you're not from around here, you can hear all these stories, which I think just, it creates such a bond to this town and the brewery, which is neat.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
I mean, even the name itself, Bayheads, is like, because we're along the canal, we're at the top of Bay on Chesapeake Bay and Delaware Bay. So like that kind of...
Yeah, I don't know if you actually knew that, but that was the driving force behind the name, like between the heads of two bays.
I never even caught on to that. I just think bay and that's awesome. Yeah. So I say I learned something today. Yeah. There's another name that I don't know if we can drop this because this doesn't even exist, but Jason had mentioned the name.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, bridge work. I've been I've been fighting for that, man. I have been fighting for that. It's gonna have to be
like a triple.
I know, bro. Dude, I was on my way here yesterday. There was like an accident somewhere on Route 1. It took me almost 40 minutes to get here from my house in Cecilton because traffic was backed up all the way to like Kite's Corner because I guess all that traffic that was supposed to be on 896 or whatever in Middletown got diverted through here, and it was a nightmare because they're doing bridge work.
Yeah.
Bridge work, bro.
Georgetown's like closed down. St. George's Bridge or whatever.
That's
right. Exactly, bro.
So this bridge is like, I mean, if you're from the area, if you drive 213 Augustine Herman Highway, you'd know that you're hitting bridge work any time of year. It doesn't matter, and it's like perpetual. It just goes on and on and on. So I think like a real heavy like 14% something is what you need.
Not that we're taking over your business or anything.
It's in the works. It's in the works. It's in the works.
So one other thing I want to mention, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up your shirt. So if everyone could take a peek, if you're on YouTube, you might recognize this guy.
Oh, yeah.
This is Harry. This is the logo of Happy Harry's, which I just told you guys, that was my first job ever.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
First job ever was Happy Harry's in Elkton, right at the top of 213 on the left-hand side there.
Yeah.
So I was 15, I think, and I walked in. Had my dad drive me there. I walked in, asked to speak to a manager, and told him I was looking for a job.
That's
and
awesome.
I got hired on the spot. So that was my first job.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, why are you wearing Happy Harry shirt?
Oh yeah, well, so I saw this article a while back on Delaware Online.
This is classic Charlie.
But there's actually a guy. He's like a local artist, and he, I guess, was like diagnosed with cancer and was trying to raise funds. I don't know what type of cancer or any of those details. It was all in the article, but yeah, he was trying to raise funds, and he was selling these with stickers. So I was like, oh, he had hoodies too.
That's cool. That's big.
He had
That's
hoodies
awesome.
too, but I like went and found him on Instagram, and then just like placed an order for the shirt and a couple stickers. So.
That's awesome.
It's a very. I mean, if you're from this area, it's an extremely recognizable. Like, even if it didn't have Happy underneath of it, you'd be like, oh, that's the Happy Harry guy.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually wore this to the inn, the Chesapeake Inn a couple 2 weeks ago, and there was people coming up taking pictures.
Not only is this guy 6'7",
yeah, people stopped me and they're like, "Hey, my wife used to work there, worked for 20 years or something like that. Can I take a photo?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." I was like, "This is kind of weird."
You should be like, it's my uncle. It's my Uncle Harry.
Yeah, and they cropped me my head out. They took just a photo of the t-shirt. And I was like, okay, this isn't uncomfortable.
Oh, that's funny.
That is awesome.
Yeah, but it's a pretty cool shirt. So.
I love it. And I like the cause behind it, see? So it's helping out
very
somebody.
Cool. Very cool.
I want to just ask you briefly, Charlie, because I've talked to Jason about this, but not you yet. You guys have done some cold plunging in the river.
Oh, yeah.
So go through that a little bit with me, what that was like.
So the first time I did it, I just kind of brought it up casually to Jason and Steven, and Steven was like, let's do it. And he was all
Steve, yeah, if there's an idea, especially if it's a little crazy, Steven's like, yes.
Yeah. And then it turned into we did this often.
Weekly.
It was 3 times a week.
Yeah.
4 times a week.
Yeah, so you have your dad has a place on, Cabin John Creek.
Yeah, it's right off Cabin John Creek.
Yeah.
It's, right. I mean, we're right almost at the bay.
Right at the bay.
Yeah.
Where the bay and Cabin John Creek meet.
Yeah, right off of Turkey Point.
Gorgeous place. And so I think the first time we did it was 4:30, 4:45 in the morning.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In December, on December.
Steven misplaced his keys. I don't know if you know that story.
No, I didn't hear that.
So Steven, I don't know. So Steven lost his keys, and we're searching in the sand after we plunged.
Dude, Steven is leaving for Florida the next day.
Yeah,
it's December 22nd. He's leaving for Florida on the 23rd.
Oh no!
Loses his keys at 4:30 in the morning after we cold plunge.
Pitch black. It's probably
pitch black.
20 degrees.
It was going to rain all day too.
So he ended up going through this whole thing with locksmiths and towing his truck and trying to get this key remade, a fob or whatever. So 2 weeks or a week and a half, 2 weeks later,
It was about a week and a half. He was in Florida.
Yeah, I'm at the gas station at Rural Farms, and I looking on top of my hood, and I went to walk around I was looking on top of the truck, sorry, not the hood, and I went to walk around the front, and I looked, I had a bug guard, and I saw something. I looked, and his keys were just tucked in.
So he jumped out of the bed of Charlie's truck at 4:30 in the morning and placed his keys and his hoodie on the hood of his truck, and the keys slid down to the bug guard.
Oh no!
And they stayed there. I drove that truck all over the place for 10 to 14 days.
No way!
He sent us a video at 10 o'clock at night of him finding the keys and sent it to me and Steven. It was amazing.
No way, dude. That's hilarious.
We'll get Steven's take on that story.
Yeah, we gotta get him on here.
When he's going to be on here in a couple weeks.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, well,
that's hilarious. So
I had to share that. It's too unreal of a story not to tell it, but yeah.
So what kind of water temps are we talking here? Did you guys
30s?
High 30s, low 40s for sure.
Yeah.
And you're just walking into the water.
Yeah, we walked right in, sat right down. There was a couple times it was real awesome. Remember like that rain the one time?
Yeah,
it was like, it was
the
cool
one time there was a nice cool rain, and that was nice. But on days where it was windy is when it's tough because the waves get you, and then it goes back into the cold air, and then it gets you, and it goes back into the cold air.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah,
there was a couple times we were gonna go, and I was like, it's way too choppy out there. That's just crazy.
Catch a rogue neck or rogue wave on the neck.
Yeah. The first time I dunked my head under, I clogged my ear for like a whole like 2 days, or like remember it was like the whole day. I'm like, dude, I can't get my ear like clogged out of the water. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, it definitely is an amazing how you feel afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I would highly recommend it to anybody that's...
Again, we're not doctors.
Yeah. I'm not a doctor.
But it does feel...
But I am telling you that I had back pain and went in there and did this and I felt amazing afterwards.
Yes.
I'm not telling you it's going to cure back pain. I'm not licensed in any way, but...
So are you continuing this now? Like, are you doing any kind of cold exposure, cold showers?
I've kind of followed off a little bit besides like some cold shower rinses every now and then, mostly just because the temp is warmed up and I've been crazy busy trying to get the brewery done down here. Like the past couple of weeks have been like insane, all the work that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So no, recently I have not been sticking with it, but
I think we all need to go in on like one of like the legit ones.
Yeah.
Like one of the legit cold plunge.
Yeah, I'd be down.
We should go in on one and we should keep it at a central location.
Maybe like, Chesapeake City-ish.
Yep. And there we go. And we could do it year round. Because I have fallen off for sure. I think I went like 105 days in a row. And then it started to get warm. And I'd go out there and I'd check the temperature. It'd be like 65 degrees. I'm like,
It's not doing anything.
No, it's not doing anything. Even when I put ice in there, it's like, 63. I'm like,
It's kind of, I mean, I almost feel like it'd be nice to do a seasonal thing for me with the river because it's like right there.
Right there.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, it's getting that time of year now.
Yeah, like so November to March.
That's a good time of year. I mean, it's funny you say that because for the past 3-4 years, that's been the time of year when I'm like coming off the holidays. My diet has not been good. I've been drinking too much. It's time to get back on the grind. So from like January, February, March, during that period is like when I get back on a kick, it seems like.
Yeah.
So it is a good time of year to like introduce that habit again and get you back on track for summertime.
Now, so kind of pivoting back to the Bayheads thing, do you have any idea when you might start letting people into... I'm not holding you to anything because I know things change.
I'm on pace right now for occupancy in May, which means I'll legally be able to start brewing. I had the state comptroller's office came and inspected the facility.
Nice, bro.
2 weeks ago. Big time. Yeah, so a lot of people don't know this. I'll explain to everybody. When you deal with alcohol or tobacco, most people start a business. They just need to get a business license locally, like wherever they're at. Mm-hmm. When you deal with alcohol, it's federally regulated. So you have to get a brewer's notice and you have to file with like the federal government, the TTB, which is like Tobacco Trade Bureau or whatever. Like, so they handle alcohol as well. They have to approve you. And I moved to a new location and had some other minor changes. So like they had to update in their system. Then after that gets updated, you have to go to the state, but the state won't issue you a license until you have your occupancy. And then the local liquor board won't issue you a license until you have your state license. So
is the occupancy a local thing?
Yeah, so occupancy is with the permit office. Okay. So I'm working right now to get cleared with them. I actually just had an electrical inspection today and it all was good. So
awesome.
I was happy about that. But yeah, so I'm working on occupancy right now. So once that happens, liquor board can email the state and be like, we're good to go. And then it'll kind of all happen
simultaneously.
Yeah, like one after another, like within 24 hours. But yeah, that's been like the hardest part is just getting to a point where I can go to the county and get approved for occupancy because it just wasn't in good enough condition.
But it sounds like it's close.
Yeah, we're in a good spot now. That's awesome. I'm hoping occupancy in May, and I'll have the full liquor license. So I don't know what that's gonna like, kind of how I'm gonna go after that. But like, it would be cool to be open in some fashion by Memorial Day.
Oh yeah.
Just having a sign out. Everything's going to be like soft launch. Like people might hear this, but I'm not like going to be probably posting it out there or anything that I'm open. I'm just going to kind of open the doors, and whoever stumbles in.
That's cool. So,
yeah, awesome.
I'll stumble in for a water.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I might have to.
Hopefully, I'll have soda.
Yeah,
there we go.
I might have to break my streak with a ice cold Canal Town.
There we go.
I really want. When I started this year, I wanted to get till June, and as I'm getting closer now, I have a couple things coming up in May, and I'm like, it's gonna be hard to skip. It's gonna be hard to skip out some beers in May, but I made it 4 months.
Dude, that's impressive.
Pretty good. Yeah, I feel good.
That's impressive.
Charlie, you are also you started this business that you've ran, but you also have a full-time job.
Yes.
So what are your? You seem excited about your full-time job.
No, I love you, Wilmew.
But so like, tell us a little bit about that, and like maybe what you do for that job, how it bleeds over at all, like skills you've learned, and then how you balance having a full-time, because we talk about that a lot of the podcast of like, we both left what you'll call like a 9-to-5 salary position to do sales roles, and we've had other people on that left a regular, I say regular job, salaried position, whatever, to open a business, but you do both.
Yeah, it's a challenge, especially having a newborn.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, Charlie, and you got 2 little ones at home.
Yeah, it's
shout out Kelly.
Stressful. Yeah, Frankie, Josie. So I work at Wilmington University as a staff member. I don't teach or anything like that. I'm a web developer, so I got started in the web development right around when I was like 19, 20 years old. I actually just started because my dad and my aunt owned a business, and I just they needed some help doing that stuff. So I started to get into it, and I was like, oh, I kind of enjoy this. And then I was looking for better solutions for online stores and different things that they were trying to do. And I started custom developing some stuff. And then I ended up pursuing it further. I got a computer science degree at Wilmington University, and they had a co-op program, and I ended up getting hired through that program with them. And I've been there full-time 7 years now. And then part-time, I started there part-time for 2 or 3 years. So it's been, I guess, almost 10 years now that I've been
that's amazing,
involved with the university. It's definitely a challenge trying to run a business too and do that. I mean, the nice thing about the brewery is it's been limited hours. You know what I mean? We weren't open Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday. We were open, Thursday, Friday evenings, and then Saturday and Sunday all day. So I think at first when I get open with the brewery, it'll still be kind of limited hours
Thursday
that to start.
Yeah,
just to start. That way, everything can still be balanced and everything, and try to find people to be hired that can, work those hours so I can manage both. So.
Yeah. But so what you did at Wilmew to kind of piggyback on what Casey said, I would assume you built the website.
Right.
For Bayheads.
Yeah. So right now it's kind of under construction, so nobody judge me on that.
Should we cut this part out?
Yeah.
The building, the website is under construction.
Yes, it is. Just because all the moving and everything, I didn't know what was happening, so I kind of changed all that. I didn't want people confused thinking that we're open, because I still get phone calls hey, are you Bayheads? Are you open? I'm like, nah, I'm not open right now. I'm sorry. Coming soon. But yeah, no, it's helped because I work with marketing hand in hand, and creative services at the university. So we're building web experiences, and especially since the pandemic, online learning and everything's so huge. And it's all about the user experience and getting conversions and that type of stuff. So that's been extremely helpful as far as digital marketing and stuff with the brewery, and helping to put that together, and what's useful for people to have online. And and right now too, I'm thinking out the kind of the relaunch of the new website with the new location and what that's going to be exactly. So
that's awesome.
So you would be able to help us with a Real Deal with Casey and Jason website.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We need to do
Jason
that.
Good.
We needed to secure that. So that's we got a verbal commitment.
That's actually why we had you here to put you on the spot about that.
No, I knew that you had done a great job on the first generation of the Bayheads website.
Yeah.
I have not been to it to see the under construction sign, but
right
don't
now
hold that against him.
Yeah.
Because he is a great web developer.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it doesn't say under construction. It just says moving and coming soon. You know, it's actually not that. I'm like, oh god. And subscribe to our newsletter, please. Let me capture that. Which, by the way, has been like the number one thing that I've like. It has been huge.
The newsletter?
The amount of subscribers I haven't really sent a newsletter recently. And I'm about to though. Like I'm building up to that because like that's about to be coming. Also. Like yes, in like the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be updating everybody because I actually have like solid photos now of like what looks like a complete facility to show people. Whereas before it would have just looked terrible, and I've been like, how do I explain to people? Like, no, a lot's happened. You don't understand, but like, yeah. So I mean, we have like right around 1,000 subscribers to the newsletter.
Wow,
that's
so,
really great.
Dude, I feel like I dropped the ball completely on that with my personal like brand and my business. Like I think that's so huge to have a newsletter. One, to be able to capture people's email address so you can keep them updated and then get constant emails that go out.
Stay in front of people. Yeah.
So we definitely need to think through that.
Yeah.
Do you use the CRM for that?
No, I just use Campaign Monitor. Actually, it's just a like a SaaS software as a service. Yeah, so it's
email software.
Yeah, there's like a bunch out there.
Like constant contact, that kind of thing.
Yeah, constant contact.
MailChimp, right?
Yeah, MailChimp. Like there's a handful of like those types of services out there, and it all depends on like what other services you're using because like some things integrate better with other ones. But yeah, I mean, like if you can formulate kind of like an automated process with some of that, like a journey, they call it, like, and put together good communication plans and stuff, like, man, that's a really good way to, stay on top of your marketing and like, retention, other different things like that. That's a big thing too, like with a brewery, because like, I'm sure you guys are aware, like how much it costs to get a new customer versus the cost of just, retaining an existing one. So like, retention is, a huge part of that and helpful with all that as well. But
yeah, I think just building your following and then being able to keep people updated and keep you top of mind is huge. So I love that you guys do that, and like I said, I want to get a website to put together here. We're working on this is an announcement. We're working on that, guys. We're gonna get a website, and we're also
here we go. I was gonna say, I think you're going somewhere else too.
We're also gonna get some apparel out.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting, but I know
that's
what
you're saying too. But we're going to get some apparel out soon. So our buddy Drew, who we also need to reach out to, we're going to get some stuff with we got like 5 different versions of our logo.
Drew and Kayla. I shouldn't announce this on the podcast. Drew had a little one today.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
awesome.
Drew had a little one today.
Wow, so we might be a little bit backlogged on the
Drew and Kayla, congratulations, baby Owen.
Oh, very cool.
Nice, that's awesome.
So 2 baby Owens.
2 baby
of
Owens.
Our friends.
Yeah,
recently. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I thought, and I'm not going to mention this on camera because I didn't know, but I'm going to just write it in my notes. I thought you were going to mention this. I don't know if we can say that yet.
No, we'll hold off on that. We'll hold off on that.
Cool.
But we are going to get some apparel out there, so we'll give an option like this wonderful hat I have right here with the Nation's Lending logo on it. We'll get something like this because we got like 5 versions of our Real Deal with Casey and Jason logo.
Yes, thank you, Blonnie.
Yes, Blonnie.
Today's just a thank you show.
Another local,
thank you, Charlie.
Local business owner. So we'll get some stuff out soon. I'm excited about that. We'll sell it on our website that Charlie builds for us at some point. So big show here, guys. Big announcements.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Anything you guys want to wrap up on?
I think it would be helpful to clarify to your audience and 2 people in particular who the first Mug Club member is of Bayheads Brewing Company.
You're really putting me on the spot now. Talking about tough questions. There's 2 individuals that are going to freak out if I were to declare one over the other. I can tell you that.
Is there some debate over who the first is?
Oh, there's a 1A and a 1B.
Yeah.
I had to be up there too. I'm thinking top 10 at least.
Yeah, I think you were. He's probably...
Yeah.
You probably were top 10.
But like 1A and 1B...
in no particular order.
We don't know who A or B is. There's debate about that.
But they're both local guys.
Yes, and
great stewards of the community and just great people.
Yep.
You want to name them?
Oh, yeah, we definitely can. I'm sure they'll be fine with it.
Bob Miller.
Yep.
Well, I said this name first. That doesn't mean anything. and our buddy Dick Fox.
Okay.
Yep. Now Bob is on a label.
He's on a label? That's right. He's on the Nighttime Dredger, the coffee.
Yeah, we actually
beer.
use
right?
it's like his favorite beer. So like
They
we
use Bob's face.
Wow.
As like the, I don't want to call it the mascot, but as like the logo for the beer.
Yeah.
So I guess all that we're wondering now is which beer Dick's going to be on.
Yeah.
He's asked. He is asked. So. Yep.
So it's undecided. There's 1A, 1B, and perhaps it fluctuates.
Yeah, so I'll let them box that out.
Cool. I think that's a very diplomatic answer there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anything you want to close with, Charlie? Any closing remarks?
No, just thanks for having me on. It's
Announcements,
great.
plans, anything like that?
I'm going to watch more of the show than I've done before. So.
Yeah. No, we appreciate you being on. This is a big thing. I know because everyone downtown, like I said, is anxiously waiting as you are the reopening of Bayheads.
Yeah.
And having that spot. So glad that we could I don't know. We'll call this breaking news. We're going to break this to the town at some point in May. Just keep an eye out.
And this is gonna drop on Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
May 5th. This will drop the first week of May. So when people are hearing this, it'll be just a few weeks potentially that Bayheads will be open.
Yep.
Soft opening.
Yeah.
Doors. Just check the doors. Maybe one day they'll be open.
Exactly. Like I said, I will not be posting about it. It'll just happen,
but just walk by and touch the handle.
If you see a sign out, it's a pretty good sign that.
And maybe if Bob or Dick, whoever walks in there first, could settle the debate.
Right.
Yeah, I can ask.
Good point. All right, awesome. Well, this
Thank
was
you,
fun.
bro.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, man, and thank you all for tuning in. We're getting so much more traction every week that we post, which is awesome. Our YouTube videos are growing, and every time we have an awesome guest on like Charlie, it seems like that video just reaches a little bit further than it did before. So really exciting stuff for us. We love this. We're going to keep doing it and keep bringing in local people and, just talking about stuff like this that give you a little a peek behind the curtains for a lot of people and different things.
For sure.
So, all right, guys, appreciate it. This has been The Real Deal. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.